full range of motion training or partial range of motion training, the question around which one is better and which one should you train, for me the question should actually be, how do you integrate all of these spectrums of range training into your training? If you want to become fully rounded, fully resilient athlete, then you need to incorporate all these aspects of range training, because they each give you different benefits at different times and for different use cases depending on your goals. First thing to understand is that mid-range of motion training is really good if you want to maximize strength and you want to maximize force output. Because if you look at the strength curve of your tissues, your mid-range of motion in your muscle tissue is going to be your strongest range of motion. And then on either ends of that spectrum, long range and short range, we see that curve start to drop and our strength start to get a little bit lower in those ranges. But our goal then with long range of motion training and also short range of motion training is to start to bring that strength curve back to a more balanced state. If you constantly train in mid ranges of motion all the time, you can get very, very strong, but you're only getting very, very strong through a very, very limited range of motion at your joints and in your muscle tissue. So if you layer on some full range of motion training, where for example with the knee and the quad, you take that into deeper ranges of motion, now you're strengthening both the muscle tissue and the joints and the connective tissues in these deeper ranges of motion. And that's really important for resilience and injury prevention. Then if we look on the other side of the strength curve in our short range of motion, in terms of our hip flexion or in terms of our knee flexion, these short range of motion movements are very useful for us if we want to get out of pain, restore function to an area, start to drive blood flow into an area. Also, it's important to understand that the more strength you can have throughout that strength curve and the less discrepancies you can have in strength between long, mid and short range, the stronger you're going to be overall. And it's very important to realize that even though you get strong in a specific range of motion and you can bench 200 kilos, you can squat 200 kilos, it's important to realize that you are only strong in that range, and we have to respect how the body adapts and we have to respect specificity. If I do bench pressing for years on end through mid-range of motion, if I want my shoulder to go to this kind of range of motion, then I'm not going to have so much access there and maybe I'll become injured there. That's why incorporating that with exercises like a deficit push-up, where you can come into these deep ranges, open up that shoulder extension and then become stronger and stronger at get out of those positions, that's going to give you that extra layer of bulletproofing and protection against injury. It's also going to keep your joints healthy, and it's going to map out that space and that full range of motion in your joints that your body needs to move without pain and stay healthy. So in conclusion, when it comes to range training, you should train mid-range of motion, you should train long range of motion, and you should train short ranges of motion. Even out that strength curve as much as you can and develop movement options, resilience in joint positions of long range and short range of motion, and that's what's going to help you produce more force and get stronger in those mid ranges as well. But from a longevity, resilience and performance standpoint, I think it's very important that you train all three of these in a balanced way in your training, and you can slightly change up how much emphasis you place on one or the other depending on your training goals at any one time and depending on where you are in a particular training cycle.